sports talk, wrapping up the week in local sports and getting y'all ready for the weekend. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Here are your hosts, Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, and Joe Garcia.
It's Friday night. It's Takeover time. It's week 4. This is a live version, not pre-recorded. We are back for week 4 of the Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, Jonas Clark, -1 Joe Garcia, who's on vacation. Hope he's having a beautiful time right now, fun time wherever he's at on vacation. We're here to keep a handle on everything. We'll take care of Joe this week too. But yeah, we are back, man. We've got a lot of stuff to get into. A lot of good campus talk, a lot of good high school talk. Of course, the way we start every show with B. Damone giving us our little high school sports update. Got a very special interview with his #1 rated quarterback, Cannon Williams. That'll be coming up at the top of the hour. We're talking about UIL, man, sports. High school sports has been a big subject here in San Antonio. SAFC, we were hoping to get that victory tonight, but I guess we didn't lose. We'll get into that too, as how we're still undefeated on the season. Of course, got a little bit of Chancla talk as well, because they're the hottest team in the TCL right now. And you can't forget the Spurs, man. They've been a hot topic this week, and I think they're going to be a hot topic for a few weeks to come. So yeah, we're taking over Friday night again. This is the Friday Night Takeover. But before everything, like we always want to do, we want to go around the horn and see what the hell is happening with everybody on the panel. Obviously, we know what's happening with Joe. Joe's probably, shirt off, bikini shorts, and somewhere with a margarita or, tequila sunrise or whatever he's drinking. So we're not going to get that far into Joe and paint a picture like that anymore. But hey, Orlando, man, what do you got going on? Because I think you recently had an interview that you had just done. I have yet to hear it, but I'm going to hear it. But you've got a lot of stuff going on too, and what do you got going on for the weekend before we even get any further than that?
Probably gonna enjoy, a beer, bike ride later on tonight after the pod. But as far as the weekend, you got Fight Island 2 coming up, UFC on Saturday. So gonna enjoy that card and pretty much do what everybody else is doing and just stay home, kind of to myself, and enjoy this time.
Awesome, man. And that you did that certain interview. We'll get into that a little bit later. That you did an interview for, but that's real quick, man. I think we're gonna get into it probably later on, maybe next week as well. But Fight Island, I mean, that went down with pretty much no problems whatsoever. I think everybody had issues when they first announced it, but really there was no issues or anything.
Yeah, no. They've been very strict on their testing. I know some of the fighters have expressed some of their frustrations at first about being tested 3 to 4 times a week. I mean, but it's working, kind of like TBT. And if their corner, somebody, one of the coaches tests positive, they are not allowed to coach the fighter. They're not allowed to be at the event. They retest the fighter, and they always got a couple of other fighters on standby just in case you need to have a fill-in like that. But whatever they're doing is working, and they've been pushing out their product.
Oh yeah, for sure. Jonas, man, I noticed today you got your official, unofficial, whatever, San Antonio gunslinger shirt in.
Yes,
you were modeling it on Twitter. I did get
guns up.
Looks good, man. How does it feel to have a gunslinger shirt?
Dude, I'm excited, and it is official. It's official. It's got the AAL.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the AAL tag on the
there
back there too. It feels great because this merchandise is like the first step towards the actual establishment of the team, towards putting cleats on the field. Is getting the community recognizing and rocking your logo. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, I was really excited to find it in the mail, guys. Really excited. If you can see behind me, whichever way, I still got my Commander's flag flying in the background, and I'm just really excited for football, guys. So can we please get this world back on track so we can have this I was listening to, shout out to, some friends of mine and I think of ours too, guys, the Smoking Guns podcast. Three great hosts, Philip Higginbotham, you've got Leo, why am I'm spacing on her name right now. This is RC Woods. I just read a message from her too. And RC Woods, and they do a great job. They did a great job covering the Commanders when they were in town, guys, and they did a great job in their first episode the other day. So shout out to them. But the first combine week for the AAL and for gunslingers is this weekend as they kind of get ready to evaluate talent for this team. And I've got my T-shirt. I'm excited. SAFC was supposed to start tonight. They didn't. We'll get into that. But at least there's some positive news in my little world.
Well, yeah, man. Everything's positive in your little world. I mean, you gotta be positive, right? Everybody's got to be positive. Make it till you
make it, at least.
Everybody's got to be positive, man. I don't have much, other than the fact that Monday, 11 o'clock our time, so that'll be noon on the East Coast and 9 o'clock on the West Coast, you're going to have an announcement by me,
and
a friend of mine. We're going to be announcing our live radio show. We're going to announce the name. We're going to announce, the time of the show. We're going to announce the date. We're going to announce the actual start date of the show. That's the exciting news I've got. I have a full weekend of prep in front of me just for one show announcement. So that's going to be my boring, illustrious weekend here. So, yeah, be sure to stay tuned on that. Definitely is exciting news. A lot of people are looking forward to that. So we're fingers crossed. We hope it goes well. And speaking of going well, man, we're jumping right into Be Damone here. We're talking about a high school football season where just a little while ago I saw that TAPS, one of the districts, is actually pushing their season back to September. So they're going to allow kids to practice, I believe, September 3rd. And then they're not going to start their season until September 28th. I think I've seen a few other districts around the same thing starting in September. So it looks like we're going to get high school football. B. Damone's been doing a fantastic job for us here at the Friday Night Takeover. He actually sat down with his number one rated quarterback from the Harlan Hawks, Cannon Williams. And you'll see, man, this kid is huge, man. I mean, he's huge. He's got all the tools to be, ranked number one in the quarterbacks division. I mean, we still got a lot of other quarterbacks that are going to be competing for that top spot. But, I mean, you'll be able to tell Cannon from the interview, Cannon definitely is one that you want to watch this season. So we're going to go into high school sports now with Brandon Damone. Here's his interview with Cannon Williams from the Harlan Hawks.
Be Damone from Along the Wire, and I am back on Friday Night Takeover, giving you your high school football segment. If you've been watching this Friday Night Takeover, then you know that my top quarterback to go watch was Cannon Williams. And thankfully, we were able to catch up with the young man, and we have Cannon Williams on with us tonight. What's going on, Cannon?
Shoot, chilling, man. Chilling, getting this work in, and I'm chilling.
Man, so now you've been busy. I know that you've been in 7-on-7 tournaments, doing combines, and just grinding out there. So you're prepping for your senior season, in which Harlan is going from 5A to 6A. So what are some things that you've been doing in prep for that change and just getting better overall as a quarterback?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been working real hard in the weight room. You always you could always get stronger. So I've been working real hard in the weight room. I've been running a lot, trying to get my speed up. And then, I mean, obviously, I've been out there with Yale, working on my mechanics, 2 to 3 times a week. And we're back up at Harlan. We're working out with the team and everything. So I get to throw with my guys every day. So I've just been putting in a lot of work every day.
how does that feel, being able to be back around your teammates again?
It's a good feeling, especially because we got cut off short last year. We didn't get to do spring ball or anything, and then throughout the summer, it's been on and off with all this COVID mess going around. So yeah, it feels good to be back with the team and everything. We're working hard. We're ready for the season.
So pretty much everyone's been put on notice that in these times you have to get out and get it. Do you see any physical changes, and are you even more excited about the season and you finally getting back to see some of your teammates? Have any of them matured like as in yourself?
No doubt. Shoot, we have some. Our linebacking core is real nice. I mean, we got one young guy. He led our team in tackles last year as a sophomore, and he's probably put on about 15, 20 pounds. I mean, he's looking solid. So we're going to have him back. And then some of our other linebackers, man, our defense is going to be pretty tough this year. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, they're looking a lot better than they were last year.
Okay.
We're faster on the defensive side of the ball. And I mean, yeah, we're faster, and I won't say we're bigger and stronger because last year we had a real big defense, but they weren't very very fast. Getting side to side on the field. But this year they're gonna be able to cover a lot of ground. Make tackles in open space a lot better. We got some more athletes on that side of the field. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. It's one thing whenever we do have a conversation, you tend to bring up the defense, and I think that's great because you give them a lot of cushion on offense to be able to play freely. So, talking about your offensive weapons, how have those guys looked? I know you've been spending a lot of time with Dre, so take a couple minutes to tell us about that offense.
Yeah, I mean, you already know how that goes. You seen what we can do last year, and I mean, it's obviously only going to get better. We're getting what was it? 3 out of our 4 starting receivers back from last year. I mean, I got my running back back. He had 2,200 yards last year. So I mean, we're going to go out there and do what we do regardless. Yeah, I mean, we're looking good, man. I mean, we're out there running routes and stuff. Our defense is looking good too. So I mean, we're out there going against them every day. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Really, that's all I can say.
So we are gonna let you go, Cannon. Are there any words that you have for the Harlan Hawks? And thank you so much for your time, man.
Shoot, just keep supporting us. Come out to the games. Shoot, watch what we can do. That's about it.
Already, this has been the Harlan Hawks quarterback and leader, Cannon Williams, on Friday Night Takeover. This is B. Damone from Along the Wire. Make sure, hey, Cannon, what's your Twitter handle? Make sure people follow you.
At Cannon Williams. So my full name is KANNONWILLIAMS. Most places all under lowercase.
Okay. So this is B. Damone from Along the Wire and Cannon Williams, leader of the Harlan Hawks. Make sure y'all get out there and watch them take over 6A football in San Antonio, Texas. You already know we are out. Hook 'em, birds up.
Yeah, so I mean, we're expecting a big season from Cannon Williams once the Harlan Hawks get going. As you heard him say, week 3 was going to be a big matchup for them. I believe it's not. I think he said it was on 9/11, but I think because of the districts pulling stuff back, moving stuff back, it's probably going to be 9/11, probably beginning of October is when that game will happen. So, I mean, definitely one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback in town. What does this say to you guys? I'm going to throw this to you guys here. What does it say to you guys that he didn't want to speak of his offensive side of the game yet? B. Damone kind of caught it too, where it's like, our defense is good, our defense is good, our defense is good. That's something that where I've seen it in the past as far as NFL players are concerned, the best ones don't basically publicize themselves. They always look at their strengths around across the ball, whether it be on their side of the ball or the other side of the ball. Him pointing out that defense, I think, because their offense, and he knows their offense is explosive already. Three of the top four wide receivers coming back. His number one running back, 2,200 all-purpose yards, or all rushing yards is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the offense. I think he wanted to promote that defense, and I think that's actually a really good characteristic. Jonas, I mean, am I on the same page there where, promote that defense, because now you're making that defense look even strong. We feel it's that strong. There's no way you're going to be able to attack this thing.
Yeah, and I think that that's a sign of a good leader, right? And I think that is awesome that Biedemon focused on that and emphasized that he was not just sitting down with the quarterback of the Harlan Hawks, but the leader of the Harlan Hawks. He's going to get a lot of recognition because the quarterback position does. It also helps that he's one of the tops. Biedemon's top San Antonio quarterback going into this fall, and. Yeah, I mean, it's great for a quarterback to recognize their defense because iron sharpens iron, and we've talked about that before. And so, as good as his defense is, and he knows it, that means that he's only going to get better going into his senior year, and that's fantastic. Biedemon did get into it, and talked with him about it too, where it's a little bit difficult to talk about the offense because they are so fluid and working with him as just an overall threat on the field. His athletic ability, you go through and you watch the highlight tapes, it stands out. It's phenomenal, right? The ability to move outside the pocket to pick up yards with his feet, but also what he can do with the ball in his hand. And so it does make it a little bit more difficult to talk about your offensive weapons because there's not maybe an offensive game plan if you were an opposing DC getting ready to play Harlan this weekend. It's not maybe an overall offensive approach that you can look at because you've got to compete with Cannon's mind at that point, and he's an X factor. So it's hard to talk about the weapons when you understand that the largest weapon on that team is what he's got up top.
Yeah, definitely. Orlando, same thing. You've got a quarterback who's showing those leadership qualities that you want in your quarterback. I mean, is that something that's going to actually? It's something that's going to help him get to that next level. Everybody wants to get to the collegiate level. Everybody wants to get to the NFL level. But getting to that next level, as far as high school is concerned, the maturity is there. You can see the maturity is there. For you, watching some high school football, Orlando, is he matured beyond his years already as a leader of this team?
Yeah, and I think it just helps with the overall team chemistry, especially with everything going on right now. Pretty sure it's limited, seeing some of his team members. But I like the comments that he said about his defense as well, saying that last year they were good. They were big, not as fast, talking about how not only like beefed up this year, they're fast, as hell this year. And kind of recognizing that and, kind of not thinking that it's just always going to be the offense on the field that's going to be carrying the game because defense is going to be giving up opposing offenses a very difficult time when that Harlan defense is also on the field. So I noticed that he looks like he's ready to get out there, and I need to see a Harlan game if I could or keep up with them, especially with Kenny Williams. So he's a great follow on Twitter. But just love the positive vibes out of the young man and what we got from that interview.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really think this is gonna be a really good season for Cannon Williams for sure. The idea of him getting all these guys back on offense is remarkable. I mean, you've got a successful offense already. Your quarterback is just improving that much more going into his senior season. I mean, again, you described as running back. You've got your 3 out of the top 4 receivers coming back.
Yeah.
It has I'm not going to say it has that Patriots feel to it where you're just destined to make the playoffs and to get far. So any fans, of the Harlan Hawks should be excited. And, again, I look at the leadership quality. He doesn't really care about his offense. It's the defense. And honestly, as a football guy, defense wins titles. I mean, we're not going to lie about that. Baltimore Ravens, I mean, they won a Super Bowl on their own. So if you are stout on the defensive side and you are stout and electric on the offensive side, there really isn't many teams that are going to be able to compete with you. So
No.
I'm expecting really big things from the Hawks this season. That big test, is going to be week 3, but again, it's balanced. It's got to be a balanced team. This is what it seems like it's going. Biedemon is actually a really good, person. He at the wire. I mean, he covers high school football for us. I'm sure he feels the same way. I mean, a balanced team is going to win. It's going to win a lot of games. They're going to make a lot of noise. So I'm expecting. I don't know. I can't really give you a record because I don't have their schedule in front of me. But I do expect the Harlan Hawks to. I expect them to make a lot of noise here for sure.
Well, Rudy, I'll tell you. You want to talk about records? Last year they went 12-1, and they're returning all those weapons on offense. And you have your quarterback who's saying that they're not just, he doesn't want to say that they're bigger on defense because they had some size last year, but they're stronger. Like, how do you not get excited about that? And 12-1, and like, look at it, right? So one of the big headlines around the Harlan Hawks this year is the jump in division. Right. They're going from 5A to 6A. If you couldn't tell, we had to trim that interview. It went just a touch long, but there was something that in the 1 minute that we lost that was really huge, where he talked about moving from that 5A to 6A. When Biedemon asked him about it, he said they're excited about it because at 5A they felt like they were kind of the little brother in ISD, and now they're gonna kind of get that level up that comes with when your big brother looks at you and I don't know if you guys were the little brother, but I have a little brother and I was the big brother, and I remember that moment where my little brother became kind of like a man, and you look at him and you're like, you're not my baby brother anymore, you're a man. And I think that's what the statement now that Cannon Williams and the Harlan Hawks are ready to make, going from 5A to 6A. They're like, look at us. We're not little bro, or at least, you can look at us like little bro. We still got that chip on our shoulder, but we're coming up after you. We're up there, big bro. We're coming after you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give you a real quick thing because going from 5A to 6A, if you want to go professional sports, it's, getting that franchise for the first time, going through expansion. I mean, you've got success stories in expansion. The Carolina Panthers were successful
Houston
really
Texans.
quick in expansion. But yeah, we also, you're gonna go basketball. The Orlando Magic had some success, not very very long after becoming an expansion team. So going from 5A to 6A, here's the thing that people, I guess, the misunderstanding. Now this is the way I understand it. It's not, you're not basing the talent pool in sports. It's the jump of the amount of kids you have in your school. So if you've got X number of kids, you're going to be 5A. Well, if you gain X number of kids, you're going to be 6A. People, a lot of times when they see your 5A to 6A, we made the jump, they immediately point to sports and they're like, oh crap, you're going from JV to varsity and you're not going to be able to compete. That's bull. I mean, these guys, a lot of people don't realize these guys compete in other leagues as well. I mean, for basketball, you've got AAU to go along with high school ball. So these guys are competing with each other every single chance they get. And I'm sure there's some 7-7 leagues out there. I'm sure there's some football off-season leagues out there that they're dealing with. It's not that. This team going from 5A to 6A, they were 12-1 last season. I don't see a drop-off. I really don't. I mean, 6A is just a number. It's just a number for your school. That is it. Can they make noise in 6A? Hell yeah. I mean, hell yeah. Any team can make noise in 6A. Central Catholic can't. We're taps. I mean, we're not going 5A, 6A, 4A, whatever. We're just taps. But, that's the problem when we have like 300 kids in the whole school. So, I mean, nobody should fear this. Nobody should fear the 5A to 6A move. I think he's more excited because what does it really mean? It means you're going to get more exposure as a 6A school than you would as a 5A school. I mean, for some reason, that 6A trophy just is more shinier than that 5A because it's bigger schools that you're competing with. It's more players that you're going to have to deal with.
It's the deeper roster pool.
Exactly.
When you have a bigger school, you know that those athletes are the cream of the crop. You're not just fielding 12 guys because there's only 12 guys in the high school, right? You're fielding the best 12 guys in one of the largest high school groups possible. That's what
Yeah.
that says when you make that jump. That's what that says is I'm not just the quarterback at this high school. I'm the quarterback of a 6A. So out of all of these, I don't know what the school, what the student limit is, but if you say, let's say it's 5,000 kids, right? Out of all these 5,000 kids, I'm the best quarterback. I got the 5 best receivers out there, available of 5,000 kids. So you got the cream of the crop.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. That's the exciting part. That's the exciting part right there.
Yeah.
5A to 6A. Cannon Williams, Harlan Hawks, making that jump. People, you've got to get out there. You've got to watch him because again, we already stressed it enough. He's got his whole team coming back. This is a 12-1 team coming back, and I think there was only one significant loss, which was on the receiving side, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But you've got a quarterback who is already leading this team last season, coming back. He's stronger. His mental game is there. I'm sure they've already worked on all that. Now, he's got another year under his belt. So his mechanics are probably going to be that much better. So, yeah, definitely a big shout out to Brandon Damone. You can just follow him on Twitter. It's @BDamone. For Cannon Williams, if you want to follow him, it's @Cannon Williams. It's KANNONWILLIAMS to spell it out. No hyphen, no spaces, no nothing. It's @Cannon Williams. For the Harlan Hawks, again, thanks to B. Damone for the high school interview with him. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, Jonas Clark, missing Joe Garcia, who is shirtless on a beach somewhere drinking a margarita. We will be back.
Is there a local team or athlete that you think deserves more recognition? We want to highlight them. Email the show, FridayNightTakeover@gmail.com, or give us a follow and DM us @PuroSportsSA on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for listening to the Friday Night Takeover. Want to interact with the hosts? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch @PuroSportsSA, or find us on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Friday Night Takeover.
Friday Night Takeover, taking over your Friday nights, Week 4 edition. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, missing our fourth member. He will be back next week. That is when Joe Garcia. We just got done talking about Cannon Williams and the Harlan Hawks. Definitely a good story out there. Definitely a player you should be watching. Brandon Damone's #1 rated quarterback in San Antonio. If you missed any of it, you can catch it. The replay of the Friday Night Takeover. And also at Along the Wire. That's Brandon's interview with Cannon Williams. But, speaking of high school stuff, because we are coming off the high school interview that Brandon had, UIL updates, and then we also see how hard kids are training because basically the state of Texas said you can't have any more off-season workouts. You can't get the season started, stuff like that. We were having kids training with the coaching staff and getting conditioning, strength and conditioning, everything going good, put to a stop. They said July 23rd would have been the day where they were going to basically have everybody come back and get back to workouts. Now I think it's been pushed to August 3rd is what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So right now it's kind of up in limbo, but we are seeing, there was an article actually on the internet as well that I had read, and I had seen that these kids, just because they're not able to work out with their coaches, they're working out at home, and not just working out at home. They're going, pardon my phrase, they're going balls to the wall at home. I mean,
medicine balls to the wall, right?
Yeah.
Chest passes.
Yeah. Medicine balls to the wall is what they're doing at home. And it makes you wonder. There's a lot of questions because a lot of people are going to say, hey, that's good. They're working out. They're getting their reps in. They're getting everything they need to do. Pump the brakes. Because Jonas had a really good comment, or a really good idea, or not idea, but he had a comeback on that. What happens if they get hurt? Say God forbid, I'm not saying anyone will, but say they end up rupturing or tearing an ACL in a workout, and they're doing it on their own. There goes that season. There goes stuff like that. So, going to Jonas on that was a really good point, a really valid point. When you hear something like that, it's like, okay, I love that you're working out. And as a coach, I love that you're working out. But also I have that concern, because what if you're my star athlete and you're gone for the season because you did something wrong? Who's responsible for that? Does it come back on the player itself? Does it come back on, the parents, I guess, for letting them go that hard? Does the school take any part of the responsibility? Because it's not like they can stop their players from working out. But again, that athlete is for that school. So where does that responsibility fall if somebody was to get injured?
Yeah, Rudy, it's one of those things. Like, I'm gonna step back to my high school years for a second, right? And I ran in high school, cross country and track, and I swam. And swimming was my sport. And so if you were to tell me going into swimming, and because running conditioning, you could just go out and you can just run and stuff like that. But if you can't get in the pool, you can't get in the pool. So you're trying to supplement it elsewhere. And you're still trying to, condition your muscles and your shoulders and your back, all the pieces and the parts without actually doing the sport. And so if I was going to my senior year in high school, which there were more expectations on myself because of me, for my senior year, it was my last chance to do it. And you said, okay, well, you're not going to be able to be part of the off-season training program. You're going to have to do this on your own. I can't go to the local YMCA. I can't get in the pool. So I'm stuck just working out, just lifting, just running. And if you told me it's on me to do it myself, then I'm probably going to hurt myself. Because I pushed it a lot when I was in high school. I did deal with injuries because of what I would do on my own time at times, and just trying to keep myself at the level I expected myself to be able to compete at. And so you've got these guys, we already know nothing's more important in the state of Texas than high school football. You just heard from Cannon Williams, who's excited to get back out on the field with his guys. Obviously, they're getting back in practice and stuff like that, but he's got expectations. It's his last run, his last hurrah, his senior year, to show what he can do and go down in history on the Harlan Hawks football program. And so if you leave it to him, because most parents don't know. If you were like, oh, well, your parents should watch you work out. I lived with my mom. My mom didn't know the first thing about what my weight training was supposed to be or what my conditioning was supposed to be. I oftentimes had to explain why I was doing weird things around the house, planking during TV shows and stuff like that, because I'm trying to keep my abs in shape, and they looked at me like I was weird at times, but that's the life of an athlete. You have to go to weird, like sometimes weird habits and weird extremes, because that's how you get into your zone. So if you're at home and you're doing kettlebell workouts, or you're throwing medicine balls against the wall, or you're benching out in the garage even, or even if it's just running, and you push it too hard, who does it come back onto? Because there's no coach there monitoring how hard you're pushing it. my coaches always told us, they would tell us, hey, you took that, like in cross country, hey, you took that last 200 too fast. Slow it down because you're going to get hurt. They helped you deal through a cramp or through a muscle pull. That's advice. That's what coaches are there for. So expecting and putting it on these high schoolers to condition themselves, I think is a dangerous proposition. I think that rather than that, we just really need to have more stringent guidelines for working out in a team. Maybe it's just 4 guys at a time, and those coaches have to put in 16-hour days or whatever at the high school to get all their guys through. If that's what happens, then that's what happens. Because you look at the UIL guidelines, and they came out with them. Whenever you have a player, athletes not actively exercising have to wear masks. So that means your spotter in the gym and stuff like that. That makes sense. That's easy to do. If you have symptoms, you can't come back for 3 days afterwards. You have to take a 3-day break away from it all. You have to have documented improvement of your systems, and then you can't come back to practice until 10 days after you first started showing symptoms. So they have steps to this process. It's just a matter of executing. And I want to go back to, when we were starting to prepare for the show, when we, back during the spring, earlier in the summer, we were talking about, topics and what kinds of things we want to cover. And Orlando, I'll never forget, he said he passed Harlan High School. And he's like, dudes, there's no social distancing out here. There's guys lined up, you're getting ready to do receiving sets, and they're one behind another. Nobody's wearing masks. There's no hand sanitizer getting passed around. You've got to control, coaches have to control these environments for their players, because the players aren't going to do it, because when it comes back to weight training, they just don't know enough themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is that it's important, because I was even an athlete growing up in high school. Believe it or not, I mean, you couldn't tell by my Zeus-looking physique right now that I was an athlete. But I used to play basketball, and a lot of basketball. And again, I didn't just train at school. I didn't have off season at school, or off season with AAU or anything like that. I did it on my own, and there was a couple of times I would tweak my ankle, get to a practice, and be like, "Why are you limping?" It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. But it obviously is something, because I would get hurt and just stuff like that. But as a young athlete, you don't have the mentality as an adult. I mean, when you're playing in the NBA, when you're playing in college, yeah, they want you to work out, but there's a certain way they want you to work out. As a young athlete in high school, you're just going one speed, and that's a million miles an hour. Hey, I did 20 reps in practice. I'm gonna go for 25 right now. Well, hey, that extra 5 reps is good, but you could possibly do more damage than good by those extra 5 reps. So I think as coaches go, it's probably ideal for them to just say, you know what, let's write something up. Let's get with our players. This is the workout you probably should be doing. Don't overextend yourself. Don't do that. In the midst of all the social distancing and everything, you got to understand, these coaches have to realize one thing, and that's they're just kids still. You've got to set guidelines for them. When you're in off season, you have guidelines. The coaches always post it, at Central. They always post it on the wall. These are the workouts that you need to do. This is the workout. This is the guideline.
Right.
So we would follow that. That's what we would get into. Now they don't have that. So I think if they're not doing it, they really should. Coaches should go out there and be like, this is what we need to do. Here's the guidelines. Go to the website, download it here. This is that. This is what you need to do in the off season. This is what you need to do by yourself at home, and as far as the workout goes. But again, man, can we blame it? They're kids. It's hard for them to go by what the coaches said. I mean, I'm sure, for example, Cannon is doing double or triple the stuff he's doing normally at a high school football.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, Orlando, you were seeing what was going on when you were passing by the practices. And like you said, there really wasn't much social distancing at that time. Say they get back to work, do you expect it to be any different this time around? Are we going to see, because I know at one point we said there was like 6 players for every coach or something like that. Are we going to see the same thing, or are we just going to see, hey, offense only today, defense, in the afternoon, and again, offense in the morning, defense in the afternoon, something like that?
Well, I think something like that literally comes down to the coaches and how they're going to handle it. I'm sure sure certain districts or schools will handle it differently, but that is a possible option where you just see one day offense, one day defense. Being that I live right down the street from Harlandale, I started seeing him again. This time with a little distancing, not as much anymore, but definitely got better than at first. But I think another concern too is like, especially like if you're not working out with coach, say you get a couple of your buddies, on the team, 4 or 5, 3, 4 other people, it's a group of 5 of y'all. Or that, you get so much focus into the workout, going over some of your plays, making sure your conditioning's up there. Are they even wiping down any of the stuff that they're using at home? And that's another thing that concerns me, especially being around. I know that's going to be frustrating, working with the mask on. I get that. All I do is pick up boxes at my job, and I hate wearing the mask sometimes. I know I got to do it, but imagine being an athlete, you know what I mean, bench pressing and all that stuff, and you wear that mask. No one's going to be around these kids to tell them, like, hey, put your mask on.
Right.
It's kind of free game at that point. So that stuff like that also concerns me. But it's kind of tricky. Who does it fall onto? You could put on the coaches, but I think that is something a little tricky to discuss.
But even if we're saying like we're putting it on the coaches, I look at it like this. It's kind of like, let's go to the other side of the district stuff, where it's non-athletic. Let's go in the classroom, because the same question is being answered right there. Do you put the blame on the teachers? I mean, essentially it's the same thing. Kids are, not practicing, what we're supposed to be seeing, whether they're on the field or not. Well, say that athlete goes into class and something happens, do you blame the teacher? I mean, it goes kind of both ways. So that's kind of where the districts need to really see everything. It's not just about sport. It's about the athlete on the court and off the court. Same thing at home too. I mean,
right.
We've really got to look at too.
And I think that's really important, and that's why I kind of applaud the move coming out of Austin this last week, right? Where they said until athletes are in the classroom, athletes aren't on the practice field. We're not doing anything. We're not, and I know it's difficult, and if you go back and again try to tell senior in high school Jonas 11 years ago, right, that you're not going to be able to condition and prepare for your senior year fully, or you might miss it altogether, dude, I'd be upset. There's no calming me down at that point. I'm trying to find any way around the rules, because this is what you grow up doing, and you put so much time and effort. If it's a sport that you stuck with, you put so much time and effort into taking care of it that it's hard to see the bigger picture, especially when you're 16, 17, 18 years old and the whole world that is about you, right? At that point, everything is about you, and missing a competitive event is the end of the world. I know it's with that, like your parents will tell you, like, no, this is not, it's not the end of the world. It's not worth it. It kind of is at that point, because you're just preparing for that next step. So what opportunities are missing? We've mentioned this before. How does this impact recruiting for the college level? How does it impact preparation for the college level? If you take a whole year off football, of really competitive football, how does it impact your performance to the next level? We're talking about your future at this point. So it is difficult, but I applaud what's coming out of Austin. And I think that, it's probably not too far behind, guys, where San Antonio adapts something similar.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the impact on it, because that's something we're going to get into hour 2, how that impacts, hey, the season maybe being shortened, season maybe being canceled, these guys not having a set off-season schedule. How does that impact as far as recruiting goes? That's something we can get into in the second hour here on the Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, and I forget we have a fourth guy, but his name will come back to me in a minute here. Sports in season, we're going right from, high school talk to sports in season right now, where we get into some San Antonio Chancla and San Antonio FC talk. The FC got a little crazy yesterday, so let me get some really quick Chancla talk out of the way, because I do want to get into the FC talk before we hit our next commercial break here. The Chanclas, number 1 ranked team in TCL right now, 9-4 as of last night. They lost last night, so make them 9-5. What's surprising about the Chanclas is the fact that their pitching is outstanding. They've got 4 guys with an ERA of under 1. I mean, that's really good. 2 of the guys I want to highlight here, Arturo Guajardo, 18 strikeouts, not .90 ERA, 10 innings pitched, only 3 hits allowed. He's having a ridiculous season as of right now. Another guy, Marcelo Perez, 15 strikeouts, ERA is .087, 10 innings pitched. I mean, we're seeing it getting done on the pitching side of the ball for the Chanclas. We're also starting to see the bats wake up a little bit here. Ryan Flores batting .286 on the season, 8 RBIs, 12 hits. Jordan Thompson, another guy that we talked about before the season actually started, batting .268, 8 RBIs, 15 hits. I mean, these guys are starting to come in their own. We didn't know what to expect when we talked about the Chanclas at the beginning of the season. Now I'm seeing that we are actually going to be competitive in this TCL. I like this. I really like this. And what I really like about the TCL is that we're starting to see a lot of these guys come into their own. Will they get the shot at the next level? We sure hope so. I mean, you still got other guys we haven't talked about, for the Chanclas that are starting to come up here. Porter Brown was starting to have a really good season until I think he got injured, but he'll be coming back around. So the Chanclas are getting set up to be the team to beat in this TCL. And Jonas, what are you seeing as far as the Chanclas go? Because what I'm seeing is I'm starting to see a little bit of the silver and black in them here, where we're starting to see some success.
Some success isn't something you'd equate with the silver and black as of late. So I'm glad that you're giving us that little nod there, Rudy. I appreciate it. Coming over to the sunshine side of things. But no, I mean, obviously this is a very powerful team. You look at the pitching, the ERA is ridiculous, especially when you look at the teams that we've gone up against. Just last week's show, I was listening to it the other day on Spotify, and where you had mentioned we were talking about like who they were going up against last week, which was the Round Rock Hairy Men, and I was like, yeah, but can our pitching handle the offensive firepower of the Hairy Men, who were coming off of, I think just 2 games before they had a 19-run game, 19 runs, and it's like, can they handle them? And they definitely did, right? They definitely did. Yeah. So now it's about separating from the field, and this weekend series is really important for that. And the Victoria Generals, it's a division game. They're in the South Division along with the Chanclas. The Chanclas are up. They've got a 1-game lead, I think, over Round Rock, and then 2 games over somebody else. But the Victoria Generals are 3.5 games back right now. This is a 3-game homestand for the Chanclas. So you know that these head-to-heads are really important, because when you pick up a victory, or you're not just separating yourself by a half game, you're separating yourself by a full game. So if they can really pull away, even dropping 2, if we drop the series 1-2 against the Generals, that's making the race a lot tighter than it really should be. We have the opportunity to separate here, so let's separate. Let's get work done. First pitch tonight, I think, is 7:05. First 2, so we're coming up right up on the first pitch here in about 15 minutes. So pull that Facebook, a separate Facebook page open and watch the first 2 innings there. And keep an eye on what's going on there. But yeah, this is a really important weekend for them.
Yeah, definitely is. Good luck to the Chanclas this weekend. Hopefully they get the victories, because if they do, like Jonas and I were saying, it's going to separate them in that division for sure. Pitching's got to be on. I mean, I love that this team is developed around the pitching. It's winning behind their pitching, and their bats are going to start to come alive here. Coming alive was SAFC, which should have been tonight. For those that don't know or hadn't heard yet, SAFC's game was postponed due to a Rio Grande Valley player testing positive for COVID-19. Was not an SAFC player. Basically decided, you know what, safety, health reasons, let's just postpone the game. It's not canceled, it's just postponed. Orlando, everybody was excited for SAFC to kick off. Now we got to wait a little bit. It's worth the wait, I'm sure, right?
Man, I hope so, because everything was going right until recently. It looked like everything, was going as planned. You've heard nothing but good news. Just not so much with SAFC, but with the whole soccer, with all the soccer clubs in the division going on. But it looks like the 25th, it's going to happen. I'm a little concerned of how they're going to handle it, though. Kind of expecting, waiting for news to be posted on their Twitter account or on their website, because they're going to play the Toros again next week. The same exact team. They haven't announced who the player was that tested positive.
Yep.
But on the website, it just says that he's been quarantined. He's with health officials. Taking advice. So you don't know exactly how many of the team members he was with or coaches. So that's also a concern. So you got to keep in mind that, next week's kind of in the air too. So I'm not betting on that 100% just yet. But as far as SAFC, I mean, hopefully there's no more hiccups and we do finally get some soccer next week on the 25th.
Yeah, Jonas, you got a couple insights here for SAFC. Even though it's a downtime, I mean, they're going to get back on the field here pretty soon.
Yeah, and actually, I think it was Orlando that brought this to my attention earlier this week, but Blake Smith, Bernie's own Blake Smith, he's getting ready to start another season, and come back on the pitch for SAFC at 29 years old, which is my age, y'all. He is the oldest player on SAFC. So I could actually go around a group of people and feel like I'm the oldest one in the group. Don't think I'm quite older than Blake, though. But it's great to see him back out there. When you talk about the talent level of this team, Blake Smith was an 8th overall pick by Montreal MLS back in 2013. And so this is definitely a competitive team. He's a local, so it matters and it's important to him. What's disappointing is, of course, we do miss out on live local sports here tonight because, you have to, purchase the TCL stream for the Chanclas, anything past the second inning. Well, SAFC was going to play on ESPN Plus tonight. And so if you've been watching any of the MMA events and stuff like that, odds are, and you have the ESPN Plus channel, if you haven't already bundled it with Disney Plus and their whole conglomerate deal for $13 or whatever, there you go, saving some money. But if you haven't already done that, so odds are you have ESPN Plus. So we were going to get to see SAFC out on the pitch tonight, and now we don't. So it's just it could have been like a sports night in San Antonio because you would have had the Chanclas going on, you would have had SAFC going on. Not quite any Spurs action, but that's right around the corner. So we're coming up to one of those nights where you're going to be back to watching one game on your phone, one game on your TV, and another one on your computer or tablet. So it's quickly coming. But no, just disappointed about it. But you understand, and I'm right there with Orlando. Like, how do you go up against the same team a week later? Is their organization clear? Because I don't want to contaminate our organization. I'm being selfish here.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, too bad I can't watch SAFC tonight. Guess I'm going to have to watch Frozen 2 on my Disney Plus subscription now. Yeah, speaking of Chanclas, hey, we've got some Chancla news that's even bigger than their ERA stat players and these Team B #1 ranked. We had an issue with them, and we're going to get into that right after this commercial break. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, Jonas Clark, and Joe Garcia, who's in spirit with us here tonight. So we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Friday Night Takeover, streaming live and on demand via Friday Night Takeover on Facebook and YouTube, or at Puro Sports SA on Twitter and Twitch. Gotta go off video? Go to FridayNightTakeover.com on your PC or mobile device for an audio-only streaming experience. Catch the show on demand next day on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Friday Night Takeover, Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, Joe Garcia behind the scenes somewhere behind the scenes. He'll be back with us next week. And I left y'all a little bit on hanging off the cliff there when I said we have an issue with the chanclas. If you see behind you, you've got a green screen. And yes, we're talking sick. We were sick to see what we saw on the chanclas live stream.
Yeah.
And at first, we didn't know what was going on. We threw the feeler out there. And I got some replies from a few people from Facebook, a few people from Twitter. All of them said the same thing. They all said basically, it's completely 100% safe. This
wow.
Is what they did say it's safe. The people you see without a mask on in the stands, it's safe for them to do that. And we said, okay, we still kind of wondering, how is that safe? You still got people around you. I mean, hell, even the players don't have a mask on.
Yeah.
So how is it safe? How is it safe? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to exactly tell you how I know it's safe until hour 2. So you got to stay tuned for that. But guys, real quick, what was your first reactions when you saw everybody with no mask in the stands, no mask on the field? The only mask we saw was the umpire and the catcher. That was it. My reaction was like, I wanted to go to a Chancla game, but I don't now. So, Jonas, you were really vocal about this. I'm going to get to you second. Let me give Orlando the floor here. Orlando, what was your first reaction to it?
Oh, man, it was a little embarrassing, quite honestly. I know they had that whole thing where, they're giving away the jersey. And I love going out to see, I've been out to see the missions, like baseball. It's a good experience. But I wanted to see how they were going to handle it. And, yeah, looking at the live stream, it looked like no social distancing. I get fans want to have a good time. Just like a regular game. You got people kind of right next to each other, high-fiving each other. Players like not wearing a mask. It wasn't a good look, I think, for the organization. Now I know people at the end of the game will say that they felt safe, but it didn't look good from what I saw.
Yeah, Jonas. Before we get into hour 2, give me your rants, your raves. Give me your all rage. I want to hear the rage that you had for this.
Yeah, dude. So actually, I screenshotted this, so I'm gonna bring it in here.
Let me see
really fast, and just look at that. Look at all those people together. That is not the 6 feet with the squares and the foot marks at HEB and stuff like that.
And there's enough empty seats too to literally get 6 feet.
Yes, okay. So I said this last week. I'm going to say it again because then I saw this after last week's show, and I said, no, I'm not going out to a sporting event because I'm not sure what it's going to look like. I went to the one with Joe for the 2005 Spurs Championship Game 7 replay. I was there. Yes, I was out there for it. And would I go back and do that again? No. But I would do that again 100 times before I'd go to this kind of environment, y'all. I had a 6 foot plus radius between me and the next group. 6 foot plus. Like I'm willing to bet that it was probably even closer to 8 to 10 feet between groups, from left to right to behind me to right diagonal and everything. 6 foot plus. And I know we're going to get into it here again, to start off hour 2. The Chanclas put out a video today, and it still doesn't please me. I feel like they heard some of my complaints on Twitter. I definitely took it to them. But they released a video today with Mama Peno. We tweeted it out earlier from the Puro Sports Essay, our Friday Night Takeover account on Twitter. Check it out. I'm still not happy with it, so I'm going to still rip them a new one here when we get into hour 2. But last week, guys, I'm going to make it bigger again. This was embarrassing. Embarrassing. You realize that our death count is getting higher, and we have now freezer trucks getting ready to come in town to handle dead bodies. This is not cool. Not cool. Talk to me in hour 2 because I need to take a moment.
Okay. And I told you the rage was going to come, so we did take over your first hour. We got to your high school football talk. Again, if you want to hear that Kenny Williams interview by Brandon Damone, go to the Friday Night Takeover. It's on there on the Twitter page.
Part of it will be the full thing will be on the episode tomorrow on Spotify.
Yeah, you can also catch it on Along the Wire, Brandon, at Be the Moon, Twitter as well. We're getting into more chocolate talk, man, and not good chocolate talk, bad chocolate talk, because Jonas Clark is turning the same color as his brand new Gunslinger shirt in hour 2. This was the first hour of the Friday Night Takeover. We took over your first hour. It was a pleasure. Get ready to take over that second hour here. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres. We love you, Joe Garcia, wherever you are. Coming back for hour 2. Give us a little bit here. We'll be back.
Is there a local team or athlete that you think deserves more recognition? We want to highlight them. Email the show, FridayNightTakeover@gmail.com, or give us a follow and DM us at Puro Sports SA on Twitter and Instagram.
It's time we put the San Antonio back in San Antonio sports talk. Wrapping up the weekend local sports and getting y'all ready for the weekend. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Here are your hosts, Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, and Joe Garcia.
The Friday Night Takeover, taking over Friday night. Hour 2, hour 1 is in the books. Hour 2, I promised you fireworks. We're getting into fireworks, and it's not even New Year's Eve yet. We're getting some major fireworks here on week 4, Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Orlando Torres, Jonas Clark, Joe Garcia not with us tonight. He will be with us next weekend, actually next Friday. So we left hour 1 talking about Chancla's, hey, we got to the good side and the success that they're having. Coming back down to earth with the issues that Jonas Clark is having as far as not wearing a mask, not social distancing. And this is what I was saying I was in agreement with Jonas. I felt like, okay, I don't want to go to a Missions game now, a Chancla's game now because of what I saw. But for me, they revived it. They resurrected my interest by the video of the Jalapeno. This is how we do it. You buy your ticket. You get your temperature taken. You go into the gate. You go to concessions. It's still spread out for concessions. When you go to your seat, you basically get to the tunnel and they direct you where to go. You tell them where you want to sit and they direct you there. So where's the problem? I'm seeing everything good there. They said once you get to your seat, you can take your mask off, but you have to have your mask everywhere else. But if you're sitting down watching the game, you don't need your mask. So where's the problem?
All right, Rudy. Well, first, let me get some shout outs here to some people joining us tonight on the video. So we got Brandon Holland, Be Damone, right out the gate, popped in, guys. He said, "What's up?" Joe was able. He sent us along. He said that we had we'll put a special listener. We had a special listener out there who really enjoyed hearing about the Cannon Williams segment. Then we had Frank Guevara, out there saying, "What's up? Hello, gentlemen." And then Philip Higginbotham, again, shout out to Smoking Guns podcast. They're back out there covering anything gunslingers. And they had their first episode the other day as they get ready for stuff to pick up this weekend. We might have to get them on the show in the future. But shout out to what they're doing. Yeah. But he asked if we were getting into some gunslingers talk. No, we're not. Not this evening. We're looking more forward to see what comes out of the Combine this weekend and some of the coverage that they're going to be doing over there at the Smoking Guns. But no real gunslingers talk tonight. But so we were just talking last hour. And Rudy, thank you for bringing it right back into it because I'm still hot about it. About how the missions are handling the COVID-19, social distancing, all that jazz. I went off on them. Philip Higginbotham in here says, I think at an outdoor venue, distancing between parties, masks to and from your seat, quarter capacity, it seems they're doing everything they're supposed to do. He said he doesn't think that I can say there's not 6 feet between parties without a top-down view. Okay, so to that point, when you watch the video with Mama Peno that the Chanclas put out approximately 3 or 4 hours ago on all of their social channels, that even the example they provided, I don't need a top-down view for that. That what they were seating somebody behind somebody else, and there was only one row. Now, I've been to a lot of baseball games, including one out there at Wolf Stadium, right? And there is not 6 feet between rows. So one row where I don't have 6 foot of legroom. If I had 6 foot of legroom as 6'1" guys, I would be a lot more comfortable going to baseball games. But there's not 6 feet between between me and the seat in front of me. And going from my seat to the seat in front of me to the seat in front of that one is not 6 feet, because again, there's not 6 foot of legroom. So there is not 6 foot separation forward and back. You can see good distancing for the most part. That picture, I think that after reactions, I'm gonna say we own this one, guys. After we talked about them last week and then ripping them on Twitter, then they make this video for what is now their 3rd homestand. Now they make this video. Yeah. I'm saying, okay, now they're starting to potentially make adjustments. And I'm going to watch the first 2 innings tonight. I'm going to see probably on replay, because we're live right now when they just pitch their first pitch. We'll try to give updates if we can throughout the show. But they just had their first pitch. So I would expect that they now have people monitoring the stands and going over and telling when somebody, it's kind of like when you get sat at an event, guys, and a football game, right? You go to AT&T Stadium, they seat you in your seat for your ticket, and then halfway through the game, you move down a little bit because nobody's watching you. They've already given you your ticket. You move down a little bit, and I think that that's part of what happens here, because we are, hungry for social interaction. We're hungry to sit there and watch a game with our friends. But they did not practice that last week, and I hope they practice it this week. But the video that they put out there still doesn't fit what I ask of them for social distancing, because the Spurs to me set that standard. 6 foot so completely around me. There are enough seats at Wolf Stadium right now to be able to do that. There has to be. You cannot tell me that we're running out of space to put people out there. And if you are, then you limit the amount of tickets you sell. And you don't get greedy. We asked last week, were they being greedy doing a jersey giveaway on last Friday night and giving people in attendance a Missions jersey when our numbers just spiked?
Yeah.
Like,
was it greed or desperation?
What's the difference at this point? It's greed when it's going to... desperation is desperation, and it might be like a last attempt. Greed is when all factors say you should not do this, and you still do this, and it's for money. That is flat out greed right there. And so if everybody's desperate right now. Everybody's desperate. You've got universities getting bailed out. You've got athletic teams getting bailed out. We're already at the end of all of our relief money if you're unemployed and stuff like that. Like we're hoping a stimulus package comes, but we don't know about that. We're all desperate right now. So I'm not going to go ahead and give that to the Chanclas. They need to do more. I'm going to ask them to do more. I will watch I'm going to watch the footage from tonight and see if they gave me what I wanted, and if not, then you can expect me to blast them on Twitter again. And I'm not saying that I'm the voice that's going to create change in San Antonio, but I'm not going to be quiet about it, because we're losing people left and right, and they're still pissing me off. They're giving away hats tonight. Thank you, Phil Higginbotham, for the reminder. They're giving away hats tonight, trucker hats tonight. I'm not going for a trucker hat. I wear flat bills, guys. Give the people a swag they want, but I'm not going to go out there for that. But a jersey, sure, and that's greedy. I'm still not happy with this. I'm still not happy. Orlando, Rudy, you guys can take the floor because I need to breathe.
No, I agree. And I think if they would have put that video out right before the season started, maybe we would have had a little bit different feelings. But I'm with you. Like, as late as they put out the video, it's like, come on, guys. It's like, okay, we messed up the past couple of weeks. This is what we're going to do better. But even at the end of the video, those two guys high-fiving at the end, like, come on, man. You have to. It's like, you're setting an example, and then at the end, you just kind of like, yeah, it was just like a womp-womp. But I am definitely with you right there. Definitely not a good look. And they definitely took a beating, whether it was social media or just, on not being safe. So it didn't look good on the organization. I'm still going to support the players, just whoever's running the team. Not a good look at all, especially with everything that's been going on. It's not like COVID just happened yesterday. This has been going on since the beginning, right early into the year. So they've had plans while opening the season on how they're going to roll out their plan, and it just seems a little too late.
So before we move on, because I did want to ask a simple yes or no question here for both of you guys. If I went to a game and I told y'all that it was safe, would that change y'all's mind? Because I'm the most trustworthy person in the world. Wink, wink.
I'm going to need you to, like,
if you're going to ask me to lick the poles and stuff, I'm not doing
No.
that. I'm not going that far.
No,
I'm just going to the game.
I would need you to Skype me. Like, I want to be on a Skype call with you, like a video chat with you while you're there. I want to see, and I would let you guinea pig that. I'm not going to be the first one. I'm not going to be patient zero going out there and doing this. But I'll let you go out there and tell me how it was. And if you saw the event staff come over and tell somebody, hey, I'm going to need you to slide down and create space between you and the next seat. If I saw that actively happening, then I would be more encouraged to come out there. Another failure for the Chanclas to me is that they still have a concession stand. You're still over there passing money back and forth and stuff like that. I understand. We have to spend things. Not everybody has cash, whatever. When you went to, and I'm going to say, because the Spurs set this standard for me. When I went out to the Spurs event, it was app ordering. You had to go into the Spurs app, place your order on a credit card, and they had waiters and servers coming back up, and that they would bring you your order. That was service A. So that was huge. That was awesome. But B, you're minimizing contact points. You're not touching the same counter that everybody else is touching when you put your hand down or you put your chips down on, or your hot dog down on that counter. You're minimizing contamination there. You're not standing in line and hoping that the person behind you puts their mask on. I understand that it's required, but we've all been through H-E-B, Walmart, walking around town, and you see people rocking them around their chins and stuff like that, even out in public. So you can hope that they're going to do it, but it's not guaranteed. Just so many things. Again, these are my complaints going in. They have an opportunity to show me tonight what they're doing. So if you went Rudy, I would ask you to video chat me.
But
I want to see it.
Are you saying just tonight though, or you want to see it happen, for a couple games?
It's got to happen moving forward. But if you show it to me, that's evidence that you understand. Like again, I applaud the team for showing that they understand. I think they heard me. About my complaints about this. And if this is their reaction and their response to me, then I applaud them. They heard me. Well, now we're going to make another step forward, because I'm going to say it's kind of like a kid. You kind of did what I asked you to do, but you didn't entirely do what I asked you to do. And what I would ask of the Chanclas staff, contact Spurs Sports and Entertainment. Just contact them. Say, hey, we know that you did this event back in June. How did you guys handle it? Because that was the first real event back in this city at that time. Capped at like 175 people. That was the first real event in the city at this time. So ask them, because they obviously don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so like I said, if I have to be the guinea pig, maybe I will. I'm not completely against doing it. I'm considering doing it because I want to get out to see a game. I want to get out to see I mean, any type of sports right now. Baseball is the only thing we've got going, and not knowing if SAFC is going to be actually let fans in for that next home game yet. I want to try it. Will I do it? I still don't know. But if I do, I promise I will Skype you. If anything, if I can't Skype you, maybe I can go Facebook Live or something like that for everybody, so
There you
can
go.
see. You know,
Okay.
so everybody can see. But you know, here's the other part that I got on this question. I know we're going long on this segment, but this is a really good segment. The other question that I had, part two, was: is it really a concern? Now we don't. Okay, first off, we don't know that they're not using an app for concessions. We don't know that. I mean, do
They
we know
did
100%?
not put it in their video. They
Okay,
didn't.
they didn't put it in the video.
In their video, when they got to the concessions part, they showed Mama Pena walking up to the concession stand and walking in a queue,
Okay.
just like you would at the grocery store for checking out your groceries. You stand on the little footprints. That's how they showed concessions. You can say, like, if you're going to offer to your seat ordering concessions, that's going to be a lot more attractive in the promotional video for how we're handling COVID than showing me your backup plan, which is a line. Like, even if it's just attendance, even if you give a section attendance, and this is a point where we're in an unemployment kind of mild crisis, right? Here's opportunities for employment, and hire somebody to usher each section or up to 25 people, and let them be the go-between. Then they rock the gloves and go up and they wear the gloves and they wear the mask and they go place your order for you, and then they come back with your order. Let that be the service. That's how you handle this. That's how you make people feel safe at this time, is minimizing contact points. And if you want to say that, well, what if that person tests positive for COVID? Well, then the same question goes, what if the person handing you your baking the hot dogs tests positive for COVID? But you're minimizing the people in the process going from one to another. Do that, and that's one. Then I'm only asking one person to have to make sure they sanitize their hands between every order. You take somebody's cash, you go over, you pay the concession stand for it, you make change, and then you hand sanitize your own hands. That way we're taking it out of the general public and we're making it an employee standard, which you can then enforce rather than relying on the fans. I'm hot about this. This makes no sense.
Considering it's the only sport right now in town, other than Little League, because I think Little League still might be going on, but Little League's completely different from Messe Chanclas. I mean, Flying Chanclas baseball.
Right.
Being that this is the only sport in town where we are allowed to go and watch, I get your concerns. I'm going to just say this. What I want to do, maybe one of us or even myself, let's see if we can get somebody from the Flying Chanclas on the phone and talk to them. Maybe get a phone interview off camera, something like that. Get some questions. Get these 5 burning questions that Jonas has answered by people from the Chanclas, because who knows? They may not have enough feedback from fans to make these changes. But if they're getting people say, hey, this is what we would recommend, maybe try doing it, then it's like, okay, maybe they'll start seeing, the other side of the picture here. And like you said, maybe start offering, to deliver the food to your seat. Maybe they say, okay, maybe that one aisle in between fans is not enough. Let's go 2 aisles in front of fans. Let's be honest, you're probably not getting sold out crowds right now at the Chanclas,
Right.
mainly because of what's going on. So to attract a little bit more people, make it just that much more safe. I really liked what they did in the video. To me, it was good enough for me to get there. But now that I'm hearing your concerns even more, I'm kind of back down to 50-50 now. Will I still be the guinea pig?
I'm sorry.
I'll still be you just ruined baseball for me. But I probably will still be the guinea pig when it comes to it. I may still go to a game and check it out. It's something that's, it's a hot topic right now because a lot of people didn't realize what we saw in that video.
If anybody from the Chanclas ends up watching this video before we get to ask them to go on the phone, and they're like, who are these crazy people? Well, let me tell you really fast. I've got 4 years in event planning and event management. I've got 10 years in food service. So let me go ahead and tell you about health standards and cleanliness standards and caring about your patron. I don't care that this is an outdoor event or an indoor event. You're still breathing on people right behind you, right in front of you. If you cough and you get up to go to the concession stand and you touch the seat in front of you, and you didn't wipe down that seat in front of you after you coughed on it, I'm going to bet you didn't. And then I turn around and I'm the seat in front of you, right? Not directly, because if they do give you space between seats, which we did not see last week, but if they do give you space from, a seat space between the person in front and behind you, and then I get up and I trip going up the stairs and I grab that seat, unsanitary, man. Give me my 6 foot distance. Give me my 6 foot distance. That's all I'm at. I'm not saying that you have to wear the mask the entire game. I understand. Because again, Spurs Sports and Entertainment event. We took off our masks once we were in our bubble. They put duct tape on the ground and let us know when we were in our bubble. Yeah. And you got to take your mask off then because there's a 6 foot distance. But if I'm only 3 feet or 2.5 feet behind somebody because there's only a chair between us, I have a problem with that. So there's my credentials, Flying Chanclas. If you want to call me a crazy guy, I'm not. I've got the experience. So yeah, if we can get them on the phone, I'd be glad to talk to them about how they're managing their events because they're doing a bad job.
You heard it. Hopefully the Chanclas are listening. We did make some statements tagging the Chanclas in it too. So we'll see. And like I said, maybe we can get them on the phone. If they don't see this by now, maybe we can get them on the phone, talk to them, get some insight on what's going to be happening. Maybe they are making some changes. Maybe Jonas Clark really did make some moves on the TCL league over here. So if it is,
I can hope.
If it is, if we see changes being made, and we see, direct delivery to seed, and we see people sitting, half a mile away from each other. It was the Jonas rule. It was the Jonas Clark effect. We're going to just name it that.
You're welcome, San Antonio. I care about you. I care about all of you.
It's his rules or no rules, basically. So that's what we're going to go with. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, Joe Garcia's on vacation. Joe, we probably wish we were with you now that Jonas is going all hope mode on us right now.
I know.
And the Friday Night Takeover, we'll be back.
It's time we put the San Antonio back.
You're listening to the Friday Night Takeover, streaming live and on demand via Friday Night Takeover on Facebook and YouTube, or at Puro Sports SA on Twitter and Twitch. Gotta go off video? Go to FridayNightTakeover.com on your PC or mobile device for an audio-only streaming experience. Catch the show on demand next day on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening to the Friday Night Takeover. Want to interact with the hosts? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Puro Sports SA, or find us on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Friday Night Takeover.
Friday Night Takeover. I'm trying to do that magic thing with the pin, which I'm not good at. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, Joe Garcia will be with us next week. This is the Friday Night Takeover. We're taking over your Friday nights from 6 to 8 every Friday at Poodle Sports. San Antonio is the Twitter handle. You can find us on Facebook. Friday Night Takeover. Be sure to go out there and like us. You can find our past shows. We are on all platforms, I believe, for podcasting. So if you miss us, if you missed an episode, YouTube as well. If you miss an episode, go back and look for it. Search Friday Night Takeover. You can listen to us, hear my wonderful voice, which is only said by my wife. So,
hey, It's caramel smooth. Some people would say chocolate voice. I'm gonna say you got that caramel going.
Chocolate voice caramel. I dig that. I can go a little deeper, but I don't want to give the Barry White effect to anybody. You know, this isn't that Friday night takeover.
Hey.
So coming back from commercial, we had the Red Hulk Jonas Clark going crazy on the Chanclas. And we've actually started seeing a different kind of crazy this week when it came to not mine, not Jonas's, not Orlando's, but your San Antonio Spurs, who are in Orlando in a big bubble, eating probably the worst meals they've ever had in their life, not able to go past their hotel doors. They're getting ready to play the NBA bubble season. They've got three scrimmage games before they actually get into the 8 games that count. We saw something pretty cool this week. We saw them, some video of them practicing. We saw some lineups out there that were like, wow. One lineup was DeMar, Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson, Trey Lyles, Jakob Poeltl. That lineup had fans. I hate to use the word, but that basically gave pants rigor mortis to a lot of fans out there.
Way to put that, yep.
Yeah, because with me, I got really excited. It got extremely cold in my room. The nips were hard. I was cutting glass. I was excited to see that lineup. I'm sure everybody else was.
Hand check.
Yeah. yeah. Hands are fine. We're not going anywhere to do with that. But that's the excitement we saw from this team. I was so discombobulated. I was so down. I didn't love what I saw from the Spurs this season. It was a bad year. But seeing them back on the court, hearing Pop, hearing Rudy Gay, other guys talking about, hey, we might even give the youth a chance this time around. It's the last 8 games of the year. Let's see what we got. That just renewed everybody's interest. We're talking Keldon. We're talking, DeJounte, Derek.
More
Lonnie. We're talking, Jakob even is going to be getting that run that we all hope. So I want to see you guys, that starting 5 or that 5 that I saw. Now we don't have Trey Lyles. Obviously, he's going to be out for the whole bubble season because of appendicitis. Right. But if you throw in a Lucas Simonik in there or, somebody like that, that's a really, really interesting lineup. What lineups are you, Orlando, what lineup are you looking at to see in Orlando? Because we're going to have a youth movement apparently. So what do you look forward to seeing as far as a 5-man lineup? Did that lineup excite you, or do you see a different kind of lineup that might even be even better?
No, that lineup excites me. I think that's one thing you hear from Spurs fans all the time, or even some of the casual Spurs fans, is you want to see the Spurs go younger. You always hear some of this old talk going on. But I would love to see what DeRozan is going to be in there. I like Derek White. I know people are a little high on Murray. I do like Murray too, but I've liked a little bit more from what I've seen from White lately, especially last season. Keldon Johnson, obviously, seeing him train, his videos and Instagram has been posting. Jakob Poeltl, all that talk, been wanting more minutes. Hey, it's your time, big man. Jakob Poeltl and Lonnie Lonnie Walker. There's still improvement for Lonnie Walker, but hey, I know right now there's not a lot of expectations with these 8 games. Let's see what he's got right now. This is the time. That will be my starting 5. That's what I would like to see.
Jonas, give me a starting 5 that you want to see real quick here.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not too much different than Orlando there. I've got DeJounte, Derek. I'm going to slide Lonnie to the 3. I'm going to stick with small ball here, guys, putting DeMar at the 4. Running with a 4-guard kind of situation, and Poeltl. I understand that this doesn't get, might not get Spurs Twitter, nips hard or whatever, because it misses Keldon Johnson, and I understand that. But this is the one I think is the 5 that I think is going to make a difference. This needs to be like our starting 5. KJ is a little bit. He's a little bit iffy for me because I don't like to always play this card, but my primary focus this whole last year was watching Austin, covering them for Project Spurs, and so I did have my eyes to it a little bit more than the highlight reels that you got to see from Spurs Twitter and stuff like that. the full game situations, Keldon just doesn't show it for me. He's around a 27% 3-point shooter. I think I got Lonnie higher on the list for me. You'll note that Big Bucket Bryn is missing off my starting 5 because I don't want him out there on my starting 5. I think this is the one to make a difference. And I really like having DeMar out there with those young guys because I think it's going to excite him. It's going to light a fire inside of him. And so where a lot of us are like, oh, well, DeMar's useless. He can't do whatever. Don't bring him back. I think that him running with guys who can take the pace the way he wants to take the pace will show San Antonio a different version of DeMar that might change the city's take on him.
Yeah, it's funny because real quick on DeMar, you said exciting him. He was actually playing some of his best ball in Toronto when he was on the floor with OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam at the same time.
Kyle Lowry, they were young. They were a young
team out there, and that kind of is what I'm hoping to see Pop does at this lineup here. One other thing that we want to get to, as far as the guys, what one Spur are you looking out there in Orlando? I've got mine. I'm going to give mine last, but Jonas, which one Spur out there is you looking at that you hope to see makes that much of an impact?
Bryn Forbes, guys. Bryn Forbes.
Wow.
I love my Bryn Forbes. No, it's not Bryn. It's Luka Šimanić. Okay.
Yeah.
More of Bryn is just going to show us more of what we already know of him. We kind of know his style, and he's just going to be streaky. But Luka Šimanić, I really want to see him because I'm not sure. My timetable for him is a year and a half yet in the G League. And I know that doesn't make a lot of people too happy. But he was 19 years old, raw product coming out of Croatia. He was not Luka Doncic. They share the same first name, but the last name makes a big difference there. But 6'11", you got to love what he offers. The ability to space the floor. He's not a slow 6'11". He's fast. He has some decent handles. But he had some control issues last year in Austin. He averaged around 7 turnovers a game, which are 3.7. I think it's 3.7 turnovers per game, which is still quite high. And so I want to see how he has developed to this point. The pictures we've seen, he looks a little bit bigger, a little more swole. Yeah. And that was the big concern why I don't think he can quite handle the NBA level yet because he's going to get pushed around. But we've got some good competition. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons on Joker's coming back. He's coming back healthy. So a couple of those guys, I'd like to see how Šimanić, goes up and even some starting time just to see. He's going to look bad. Like Joker would embarrass him. But I want to see how he handles that situation. I want to see Šimanić get more minutes.
Cool. Orlando, who do you got, bud?
I got Jakob Porto, the exact guy that I was calling out. Just him saying that he wants some, he wants more minutes, that he doesn't feel, that he's open to looking at other teams. I just feel like, well, hey, here's your chance, see if he could be a better scorer. He's not a big scorer, big on assists. Just see what kind of changes he's made or whatever it is that he believes in himself about, or that he feels that he has that we haven't seen, for us to let it see. Because obviously Spurs fans haven't seen it as much. Pop hasn't seen it, or probably hasn't put him out on the floor as much for that. And just want to see what he has, and hopefully we see a little bit of a revitalization from the guy, and to help give the team the boost, everything we could get from Jakob Porto, and not focus on free agency, but actually focus on being in a bubble and really just showing the skills out there and kick it up a notch.
No Lyles, no LaMarcus. This is the time to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And my guy, actually, I was going to go with KJ, Keller Johnson. I was going to go maybe with Alani Walker. Mm-hmm. But I went totally different this time. I went with DeMar DeRozan himself. And I'm going to tell you why. What do I want to see out of DeMar, and why do I have him highlighted? Here's the thing. You're going into an off season where you can opt in for 27, 28 mil to stay with the team, or you can opt out and become a free agent. So here's the reason why I picked him. Is he going to enjoy running with the younger crowd? Is this going to convince him to re-up into the Spurs system, come back next year, and the year after think, okay, this is going in the right direction. Let me go ahead and get that long-term deal signed. Mm-hmm. Forget what Aldridge is doing. Forget that, whole nonsense. this right here, these 8 games, if Pop goes with the game plan of, hey, DeMar, we're going to pair you with Lonnie and Keldon and even Aluka. Let's see what we can do with this lineup. That shows DeMar, okay, you know what? I can run with these guys. I know I can play with Derek White. I know I can play with DeJounte Murray. But those are point guards. I want to see what I've got on the side, on the wings with me. I want to see KJ. I want to see more of a Lonnie Walker. That right there, to me, is the reason why I picked DeMar. Because I want to see how he comes out of this bubble thinking it's not going to work with San Antonio. He doesn't have many, many years left. Let's be honest. It's not his window for actually winning the title is very, very small.
He's 29 right now, so he's not quite 33 like LMA, but it's up there NBA wise.
Exactly. So is he going to want to waste another couple of seasons with the Spurs? Basically, if he sees that he's got potential here in San Antonio, then it may opt him to stay here. I mean, he may not go to Los Angeles or. One rumor that I had seen, it's a very, very long way rumor, but the possibility of San Antonio maybe trading into Brooklyn to join up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. So, there's other things out there that have been coming up, but if you get him to play in this bubble with this youth movement that we've got and he enjoys it, then it's going to be fun to see him here. We're going to see more of a different type of player of DeMar. We know he can score. We know he can create. But is he going to be that facilitator? Because he knows once he gets to the basket, it's wide open, brother. You have KJ or Lonnie screaming down the lane. You make that pass, it's slam dunk. It's,
right.
one in a file. I mean, you've got to use his playmaking ability. And I'm not saying he's Kawhi Leonard. He's not. But Kawhi was really good at that playmaking ability, and he learned it from where? The Spurs system. So give him this season. Give him these 8 games. I'm watching you, DeMar. I hope you do stay. I hope this does work out. We're going to see what happens with the Spurs. I mean, definitely it's going to be fun. They got, like I said, 3 scrimmage games. They also have 8 games that are actually going to count. Are they going to make the playoffs? I think we all were in agreement that it's going to be really tough for them to make the playoffs. It's going to take a miracle, or it's going to take, I don't know, the Chanclas to change their rules for Jones Park to make the playoffs. But real quick, I want to get into this next segment real quick, and this is something that we want to spotlight. We want to spotlight one of our very own Orlando Torres here. MMA, boxing, he follows it all, he covers it all. And we've seen San Antonio being put on the map as far as fighting, overall general quote unquote fighting goes. We've got guys like Anthony Ivey, Joshua Franco, Kendo Castaneda. I mean, these guys are putting San Antonio where we once were, because back in the day, San Antonio was on the map, having 2 world champions with Jesse James Leija and Robert Quiroga is another one. Both of these guys were putting San Antonio on the map. We were seeing fights like De La Hoya and I can't remember his name, but that big fight that we had here. We've gotten, I think Canelo fought here as well too. So I mean, we've got a lot of hardened history here with boxing. Now we're seeing a lot of these other guys starting to come up here. Orlando, is the emergence of these guys going to put San Antonio back on the map when it comes to, boxing, and then put San Antonio on the map when it comes to MMA?
I think MMA still has a while to go. You still, there's still, San Antonio's still very much a fight city. You talk to some of the people, a lot of them do keep up with boxing, MMA, or both. But yeah, Kendo Castaneda, he just fought recently. The Tuesday night fights or Wednesday night fights that ESPN has been having, the boxing fights have been really good, and you see a lot of some of the local guys on there sometimes. He is coming off a loss. It was a decision loss, but still put up a very good showing. He had a good late run, just wasn't enough in the end to get the win. Anthony Ivey. Now, I guess we're kind of lucky Joe's not on the show today, because Joe will be going all Jonas right now on Anthony Ivey. He had a knockout loss to Christian Aguilera in under a minute, so that was a little bit disappointing. However, he does have a bounce back coming up pretty soon. No fight has been announced, but he's been training for an upcoming fight with the UFC. Josh Franco now, recently, 2 weeks ago, just won the WBA super flyweight championship to Andrew Maloney. I was able to interview Josh Franco recently with All Access MMA with one of the outlets that I contribute for.
Great interview.
Yeah, such a great interview. Good guy. So if you haven't got to the interview yet, no problem. But he does mention that he's going to fight Maloney again because there was a rematch clause in the contract. So look to see Franco again in the ring by the end of 2020, if not sometime early next year with the whole COVID thing going on. But that, he's another guy though who, he had like 2 or 3 defeats early on in his career, kind of hit him pretty hard. He talked about it in other interviews as well, and he was able to bounce back, and now he's a champion, kind of get rid of those negative thoughts. And then you got Hector Tanaraja Jr., who's fighting next week. He's going to be in the co-main event, defending his championship. He's undefeated, 19-0. He's going to be on the zone, so it is a fight you're going to have to pay for it. The zone's pretty good with their subscription services anyway, like $8 a month. But if you're able to catch that fight, I highly suggest it. It's going to be Friday. He's fighting Mercito Gesta, and that's going to be in Indigo, California. He's also friends with Josh Franco. They train together. They all talk, kind of in the same bubble. Obviously both from San Antonio, so they got, a little bit of that culture, that hometown stuff. And, talking to Josh Franco, they carry, just being from San Antonio, they really carry that on them as well. So that's one of the things, wanting to put the city on the map. So I thought that was a nice touch of that. And, something, we kind of wonder about, like, when you get to see a local athlete, kind of make it on the big stage or a championship like that.
Right. I wanted to ask, and maybe you guys might have a more local opinion on this as an outsider coming into this. You're seeing the attention that the fight scene has gotten. How does this help, kind of like the city's image, the city pride? Like you said, they wear this, they wear San Antonio right on their sleeve, loud and proud, but also the local gyms, kind of turning this into maybe more focus on some of those local events. Obviously, the Alamo Dome, they have their fight night when we're not in the middle of a pandemic. But this attention that we're getting, could we see more attention on some of those maybe smaller venues, a pop-up of more venues, and a return to the gym, if you will? Because, like you said, we're getting attention again here in the Alamo City.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to see those gyms recognized. But what I also like is, like, it's also a good chance to bring other fighters here, especially when you got some of these young guys who are not just out there, just not getting defeated, or even if they get defeated, able to bounce back and have those positive moments, like Josh Franco, who's now a champion. You're able to bring in some of those other fighters that does bring in recognition to the city, especially like if he goes out there with Maloney and he defeats him for the second time to retain the title in that rematch. It's coming up later in the year. It's good. Hector Tanaraja is undefeated. He's able to defend his championship next week in the co-main event. He fought earlier this year in the Alamo Dome. Obviously, he won that fight. He goes out there. He wins again next week. So that does put a lot of recognition on the city, especially for those gyms, and bringing some other one-on fighters back to the Alamo City for whenever we are able to go out there and enjoy fights again, or however the Alamo Dome or whatever other event is going to host those fights.
Nice. Yeah, so we're hoping that it does bring back to the Alamo City. I mean, we were big here for a while. We were getting some good fights here. Like I said, we had champions, we had world champions here. Then it kind of died down for a little bit, but now I see it coming back up, especially with, Joshua Franco. I mean, boxing champion in himself, man. Getting that win again over, who was the guy he fought, Tony? Was it Tony?
Andrew Maloney.
Maloney.
Yeah.
Getting another win over Maloney would be astronomical, I think. And, the thing that I remember, too, about a lot of the boxing gyms are on the west side of San Antonio, on Zazamora. There was a couple there. You had the Boys and Girls Club in the same area right around there. They have a huge boxing, membership there. We see a lot of people boxing and practicing, training basically there. So I think we're going to see an up-and-coming thing. We see more titles, more champions coming up, more boxers coming up. We'll see another movement here. So, yeah, good stuff. Orlando, appreciate the info and all the MMA and the boxing. We want to give, definitely a quick shout-out to all those guys out there that are training to become world champions here in San Antonio. I mean, the dream's alive. You can do it. Just keep working hard at it, and you will get there.
Oh,
This
yeah.
this is Friday Night Takeover. Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, missing one guy, Joe Garcia. He will be back here next week. We will hit you up on the other side of this commercial to end the show here with a couple of segments. We'll be right back.
Is there a local team or athlete that you think deserves more recognition? We want to highlight them. Email the show FridayNightTakeover@gmail.com or give us a follow and DM us at Puro Sports SA on Twitter and Instagram. You're listening to the Friday Night Takeover, streaming live and on demand via Friday Night Takeover on Facebook and YouTube, or at Puro Sports SA on Twitter and Twitch. Gotta go off video? Go to FridayNightTakeover.com on your PC or mobile device for an audio-only streaming experience. Catch the show on demand next day on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening to the Friday Night Takeover. Want to interact with the hosts? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Puro Sports SA, or find us on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Friday Night Takeover.
It's time we put the San Antonio back in San Antonio Sports Talk. Wrapping up the week in local sports and getting y'all ready for the weekend. This is the Friday Night Takeover. Here
Rudy Campos Jr., the Friday Night Takeover. I think I missed something there. I was spacing out somewhere. Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres. Joe Garcia whisking away in Margaritaville this weekend. He will be back next week. This is the Friday Night Takeover. We got pretty much all your Spurs talk out of the way. Great interview by B. Damone earlier with Kenny Williams of the Harlem Hawks. We should have catched that on
Yeah,
we should have catched it on the Friday Night Takeover Twitter page, as well as at the Wire at B. Damone as well.
Got to go off on the chanclas. That was great.
Talk,
Oh, yeah.
We had the good and the bad of the chanclas today. We started off with the good because Jonas went full-fledged Red Hulk on us. Just be sure to wear your mask out there. I don't care if you're going to the restroom. Just wear your mask. Everywhere in your own house. Make Jonas happy. Wear the damn thing.
Send Jonas a screenshot.
Yeah, send me a picture of you out there rocking your mask.
In the shower, nothing on, just your mask.
Oh. Above the shoulders, unless you're of the female persuasion.
The Jonas Clark effect is in full effect in San Antonio, Texas. We are here for the last part of the Friday Night Takeover, Hour 2. As we do every Friday, we'll be taking over your Friday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. here at the Friday Night Takeover. We want to get to a campus visit real quick. Our campus visit segment, sponsored by, like I said before, nobody quite yet. If you want to sponsor any segment on the Friday Night Takeover, be sure to contact one of us. It's really, really probably inexpensive.
Risky area, Port Lavaca.
If you at this point, if you give me a penny, I'll go ahead and mention your business for this campus visit. But let's start the campus visit. I will go first real quick here. The University of Texas at Austin. They are putting up a new statue for Julius Whittier, who is a former Highland Owl football player here in San Antonio. He's the first UT Austin black varsity football player. I think it's a really good move. You know, they're giving some attention to Mr. Whittier, one of the better players in UT at Austin. Really, really good move. There's other campus news coming out of UT. Jonas, go ahead and give them. You've got some UT talk as well. What do you got on the campus visit?
Yeah, man. So if you guys missed the headline, I'm not exactly sure where you are at, but DKR Stadium, the name has been elongated. Not changed, but elongated. So it is still DKR Stadium, but it is now the Campbell Williams Field at DKR Stadium. Obviously, you'll recognize those two last names. Earl Campbell and Ricky Williams, UT's 2 Heisman Trophy winners. I just think that this is the right time to do that, guys. If you missed some of the headlines going on during this whole summer, I guess, and go back to June a little bit more, where the UT players have made demands that they wanted to see changes around campus for more racial inclusiveness and equality, and they've made some changes, and one of those that you see is the addition of 2 premier black athletes from the University of Texas. They've represented the school very well. Obviously, they reached college football's highest individual mark, winning the Heisman Trophy, and I just think that shout out to them, because it's an honor well deserved. So when you go to a game for the Longhorns, you will be going to the Campbell Williams Field at DKR Stadium. Save the first ticket for the game you go to, because that's going to be that's historic. That's huge. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's not going to be
Shout
more
out.
valuable. It's not going to be more valuable than the episode 1 version of Friday Night Takeover. But it'll come close.
Exactly.
It'll come close. Orlando, you've got a Scholar of the Week. You want to get on our campus visit here?
Yeah, right up the street from me, Anthony Castro, Scholar of the Week with Harlandale, varsity baseball player, but he's been making some waves over there for, not only being a good ball player, but staying on top of his grades, and also being a big brother to his little brother during this whole pandemic, and keeping him safe and teaching him some of those measures. But he's also was awarded with the scholarship to UIW. No word if he's going to continue playing baseball over there. I assume he would, but I know he's going to plan on majoring in biology. So just a feel-good story, especially over here in the local Southside area.
Yeah, for sure. And Joe, you have a campus visit. Shout out to Joe. Joe, are you there? Joe. No, Joe. Oh, Joe Ness is going to take over Joe's segment here. What did Joe have for his campus visit?
I thought you were going to expect me to do a Joe impression. I was getting my voice ready. But guys, Joe definitely wanted to make sure we highlighted this woman for her, for everything that she did, actually, on Twitter. Emma Humplick, she's from Orangefield, Texas. Sorry, or out of Orange, Texas, Orangefield, Texas High School. And she went viral with a video that she made the other week on Twitter. If you missed out, again, were you under a rock or something? Because everybody was talking about it. It was her individual batting practice, and she was hitting dingers one after another. And there was a lot of people and sliding into the comments and being like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this in a real life environment," or it's not that impressive. You get your keyboard warriors that are apparently top level athletes just sitting at home trolling on Twitter that I could do that easily, But you look at her list of accomplishments. She's on the Junior Olympics 18 and under team out of Texas, so representing our state. Really huge accomplishment in and of itself. But then here she is, she's not committed to a university yet. She just graduated high school. I imagine she had to have the whole pandemic version of the Zoom high school graduation too, or on Facebook Live or whatever. But just shout out to her, because what she's doing, what the time she's put into her craft, it shows. She's not just a hitter; she's got a cannon of an arm, and she does it at the top level. So represents our state very well.
Yeah, there you go. We're getting Joe Garcia in here. Thanks to Jonas Clark on his shout out.
Shout out to No Grito version this week.
Yeah, that video was impressive.
It was amazing.
So yeah, go out and check out Emma Humplick out there.
Humplick, yes sir.
Yeah, check it out. That video is amazing. So guys, we've come to the last segment here. We got a few minutes before we're actually going to end the week 4 version of the Friday Night Takeover. Earlier, we talked about kids training hard at home and how it impacts, their season, because they're not being watched under the guidelines of their coaching staff. So we don't know what's going on. Jonas brought up something earlier that we want to get into. How does that impact their recruiting process? Because let's take an example. Let's take a guy like Kenny Williams. He's probably going to be recruited by a lot of schools. He's probably being looked at by a lot of schools. If the season doesn't really happen, or he only has a limited amount of games, what kind of impact does that happen? And now we got to take into fact too, if he gets injured while working on himself, does that have an impact on recruiting as well? I mean, there's so much to think about when, these guys, we tip our hats off to them and commend them. You're working hard to get where you want to go, but it can be harmful at the same time. So, Jonas, as far as the impact, as far as recruiting goes, how much of it will you think impact recruiting wise for some of these guys? For me, I think it'll be okay as long as they follow certain guidelines. I think they'll be fine. But do you have any other strong opinion on it?
No, not really. I think that it's going to be one of those things that, look, if a college hasn't already seen your tape by this point, you're going into your senior year, you do what you can. You send around your highlight tapes and try to get it. But we know a lot of these guys, especially locally, have already gotten that attention. And this could be something that really benefits local universities, right? If Baylor, for example, hasn't had the opportunity to drive down 35 yet and steal Cannon Williams, that opens the door for a UTSA, a UIW, even St. Mary's or Our Lady of the Lake, whatever. Local athletics can benefit from that, or something more close. And it's not just him; it's anybody who still hasn't committed. If you follow Along the Wire, B. Damone on Twitter, then you know that commitments are still coming in every day. Players are still listing their top 5, their top 10s. But I'm sure that Cannon's time is going to come. It's going to come probably this fall, and they'll have it won't be the normal recruiting process because this is the normal world that we have in 2020. But no, I don't think it's going to really impact anything that much. If a decision hasn't been made now, I mean, yeah, you might be able to separate yourself, but you can look at an overall body of work, and a coach can make the decision whether they want to offer a scholarship or not.
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking about too here is this is kind of a good thing because now it gives more schools an opportunity to look at you in case they missed you. I mean, you don't have a whole lot going on right now, so you're looking at your recruiting prospects thinking, okay, well, let's look at the video on this guy again. Let's go back and look at this. Why? Because they're not having to do the off-season workouts. They're not having to do this and that. So it's actually a benefit to some college coaches here. I mean, I'm not going to say anything, negative ever, but UTSA, right in your backyard, take a closer look at some of these guys. This is a pretty good class coming out right now. So, I would say get out there and take a second look at some of these guys if you haven't already. So that's another benefit of actually having, it's not a good thing we're going through the COVID thing, but it's a benefit to some colleges because they can take that extra film session to look at some of these guys. And you're right, it's not going to have much of an impact. Orlando, we got about a minute here. So did you have anything as far as impact goes, as far as high school?
No, as far as affecting the recruitment, no. Along the lines as well, what you were saying about looking at that tape, kind of giving them a little bit of a, extra time, and especially as long as the player is all good and stuff, with their health, with their workouts, the way they've been handling themselves, especially with class like the way we saw from Cannon Williams earlier. I don't see it as a huge effect on them. And, maybe for some certain players, maybe, schools on a certain player and maybe they do get that extra time to look at a video. And maybe they don't feel the same way they do feel about that one player as they did. And maybe that could be a con of it, but not so much of a negative affecting the recruitment.
Exactly. And you know what? I hate to say this and I hate to admit this, but damn, the time is up for this weekend's edition of the Friday Night Takeover. Week 4 edition. We took over your Friday night for 2 hours from 6 to 8. This was a fun night. We did miss one of our guys. Starts with a J, ends in an O. Can't remember the last name. Just kidding. Joe Garcia. He'll be back next week for sure. But we did have a lot of fun. We covered everything tonight. Spurs, campus visit. We actually talked about the Chanclas. SAFC was supposed to get their win tonight, but they're just going to have to wait. But hey, on the bright side, they are still undefeated. Chanclas are number 1 in the TCL. Spurs are getting ready to unleash the youth on the NBA. And we're getting ready to take a nice extended weekend. Not to forget here, Monday, 11 o'clock, San Antonio time, announcement by me on the new radio show. Be sure to look out for that. Till next Friday night, till we take over your Friday night next week, Rudy Campos Jr., Jonas Clark, Orlando Torres, Joe Garcia whisking away again at Margaritaville, like we said. He'll be back next week. This was the Friday Night Takeover. See you guys next week.